There we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Village Board for Wheeling. It's Monday, June 21st. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel.
Here.
Trustee Lang.
Here.
Trustee Vito.
Here.
Trustee Raffato.
Here.
Trustee Papantos.
Present.
Trustee Kruger.
Present.
President Horker.
Here. You have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of June 7th, 2021. I need a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Raffato, second trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel.
Yes.
Trustee Lang.
Yes.
Trustee Vito.
Yes.
Trustee Raffato.
Yes.
Trustee Papantos.
Yes.
Trustee Kruger.
Yes.
President Horker.
Yes. I was waiting for him. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes this evening.
Clerk Brady, proclamations.
Okay. Luis Magana Day, July 6, 2021. Whereas it is a great administration that the Village of Wheeling recognizes Luis Magana, maintenance operator, for his long and distinguished career with the Department of Public Works Utility Division. And whereas Luis Magana began his career with the Village of Wheeling on July 6, 1983, and retires on July 6, 2021, celebrating 38 dedicated years of public service. And whereas being a longtime resident of Wheeling himself, Luis took great pride in his work and services to the community, whether clearing snow from roads during early morning hours or notifying residents that there may be a water leak on their property due to a high water volume reading. And whereas although Luis was considerable water and sewer knowledge, his primary expertise was water meters, which will be missed, along with his friendly and optimistic demeanor. And whereas although he will be greatly missed in the organization, Luis will begin a new chapter and adventure in his life, spreading it with family and friends. And whereas the Village of Wheeling and Department of Public Works expresses their genuine and sincere gratitude for Luis Magana's tenure and devoted service, and congratulates him on his retirement. He is an invaluable employee, colleague, and friend. Pat Horker, President of the Village of Wheeling, does hereby proclaim Tuesday, July 6, 2021 as Luis Magana Day in the Village of Wheeling. We are most grateful for the many contributions Luis has made during his 38 years in public service, and extend our best wishes for many years of good health and happiness during his retirement and future endeavors.
Sorry, I should be here, shouldn't I? 38 years for the village. Long time. Couldn't do 40. I want to thank you for your dedication to the village. It's the years of experience that are so valuable to a team like this. You, by virtue of being here for so long, you know how to fix things, you know where things are that need to work just right, you know where to find the pipes, you know where to find the connections. And when we lose somebody like you, it will be greatly felt in the department by all of the people who haven't had the opportunity of working with you. So I do want to thank you for so many years of service and for all of the knowledge that you brought to the village and the service that you provided. This is just a small token of our thanks. We also have, we will have the, this will be, you have to pose for a picture. Oh, no problem. So he can't have this yet because he hasn't retired yet. And we have to put this up by the street just before he retires. So once we're done with it, to take it down, and we'll make sure that you get it. But sincerely, thank you for the years of service. Do you want to introduce who's here with you? And
Thanks, everybody, for coming. I didn't know my friend Laura and Kim came, and Bob, and Miss Herker, Jamie. God, I know everybody here. Well, you guys and the board, my God, it's like, I think I still got a few days. I can still change my mind, but I'm not. So, this is my family here.
the grandchildren?
My grandchildren, Jackson and Olivia, Henry, and my son Joe, my Lauren Law, and Rachel, and Anthony, and my wife Rebecca, and all you. I know all of you guys. Thank you so much. That's about all I have to say.
Appointments and confirmations. Clerk Brady. Are we just going to read the list?
Yes.
And then we'll swear in Mr. Moran, I believe.
Yes, you need a motion to reappoint. So read the list if you would, and then a motion to
Put my
reappoint.
glasses on first.
Collectively.
Yep. So I do need a motion to reappoint the commissioners. I'm just going to read them all at once, and then I would like one motion.
Yes.
That works?
Sure.
That was a question. Okay, thank you. Steve Freed to the Board of Health. Mike Moran, Board of Fire and Police Commissions. Don Johnson for the Planning Commission. Roberta, please, Volreed, Senior Commission. Marshall Kaplan, Senior Commission. Steve Berman, Chicago Executive Airport. Court Harris, Chicago Executive Airport. Wrong page. And that appears to be it. I do need a motion to make those reappointments as read.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Trustee Vogel, second, Trustee Rufato. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, the various commissioners mentioned who are not here this evening will be sworn in at their meetings. However, tonight, Mr. Moran is here. If he would like to be sworn in, please.
No. But still, it's you. Raise your right hand, please. Well, don't fall down. I, Michael Moran,
I, Michael Moran,
have been reappointed to the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners
am being reappointed to the Board of Police and Fire Commissioners,
in the Village of Wheeling,
Village of Wheeling,
in the counties of Cook and Lake,
Counties of Cook and Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Commissioner
of the Office of Commissioner
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Commissioner Moran, how many years is this?
25.
25. Wow.
Super.
Yep.
How many chiefs is that?
At least one.
Sorry. I liked him. Citizen concerns and comments. Clerk Brady.
Members of the public may address the board with comments regarding issues related to the village business. No citizen shall speak for more than 5 minutes without consent of the board. Members of the general public who wish to address the board must sign the request to speak form prior to the commencement of the public meeting. We have 4 people today.
Okay.
Lee Waller.
Just as a reminder, this is a time for citizens to make their comments and express their concerns and for the board to listen. Neither the board nor the staff will be answering questions.
My name is Lee Waller, and I live at Prairie Park, and I'm here to address just one little concern. I want to put to rest the rumor, there has been a rumor that this project that's proposed for townhomes on our property, that the rumor is that some have, or that a number of homeowners in Prairie Park are not in favor of it. And that really is not true. I don't know where that got started. I'm the president of the board at Prairie Park. Al Rosenston is here. He'll speak in a minute. He's the treasurer. And we're well connected up with our people. Each of the 4 buildings at Prairie Park have representation on the board. All of those people in those buildings are communicating regularly with the homeowners and residents as well. But that rumor about a large number of people or any given number of people at Prairie Park opposing this proposal is really not true. And I'll tell you why that is. I'll tell you why the homeowners like it so well. First off, that property was intended to have 5 big buildings on it. It has 4 and a 5th pad, which the big building, like we're used to living in, hasn't been built and doesn't look like it's going to be built. So thereby, the possibility to put the townhomes came about, and the advantage is we get to finish the project. That's advantage number 1, but that's minor. The homeowners really like the idea because they're on us, the board, constantly to keep their monthly assessments down. These 18 townhomes will plow about $10,000 a month into the monthly assessments, which is a big deal for the homeowners. The advantage to the village of Wheeling is even bigger. Those 18 townhomes will produce about $200,000, maybe in excess of $200,000 of tax revenue each year. So with those thoughts in mind, with thinking about no cost to the village and a possible $200,000 plus in revenue each year, I absolutely urge this board to do what I think is the right thing and move this project forward expeditiously. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Weller.
Al Rosenstein.
Thanks to the board for allowing me to speak. Excuse me. My wife and I are original owners of Prairie Park. We bought in 2004, moved in May 2005, and I've been active in the running of the association and the declarants committees before that. I would like to offer our support, my family's support, and my fellow neighbors' support for this project. The original PUD, as you're all aware, only called for 5 large, massive apartment buildings. We're now modifying this, the developer's now modifying this to a mixed, what I call mixed residential development. Very similar to what we have in Buffalo Grove in the town center residential area and the Manchester Green, which was approved while I was on the Plan Commission in Buffalo Grove. These are combination mid-rise and townhouse facilities. They work together very well. They give some variety to the development. And hopefully, this will also spur some development both to the west and the north of our property. We're never going to get a fifth building as was the original plan in the PUD. The economies just don't allow for it. That's why it's not there today. And I don't see that changing in the future. Townhomes seem to be going very well. We have the two projects across the street, Miller Brothers and the Horton property, that have sold out fairly quickly, and I think they're both filled up. At least I think I know Miller is. Not sure about Horton. But there's a demand for that property, and this modification to the PUD will allow that to be satisfied, as well as bringing in funds to the association and funds to the village. So I encourage you to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sam Tuzzi.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sam Tuzzi. I'm the resident of the Prairie Park for last 15 years. Also, I'm a real estate agent for last 20 years, selling houses in North Shore. I see a big demand and need for this kind of townhomes that they are planning to build in Prairie Park. There are families that they like to move to North Shore, but they cannot afford the expensive homes, and they don't want to live in a condo. They want to have some kind of their privacy at the lower price point. And these townhomes will do that purpose. It will be a good addition to Prairie Park and also to Wheeling. When we bought these condos many years ago, we knew that there would be another building in that piece of land, and it's supposed to be a mid-rise with maybe 48 families. Right now, it's just 18 families will move there. And the good thing about it, that is a three-story buildings. It doesn't cover the view of the two other adjacent buildings, Building 40 and Building 100, because there are 24 condos on each side of these townhomes that their view would be blocked if they built a mid-sized condo here. So I'm 100% in favor of it, and I didn't hear any complaint. I talked to a lot of residents of the Prairie Park. Nobody has any objection because they know we sign up for it, and we knew that something will be built here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sherwin Bagown.
Sherwin Vegan, 115 Prairie Park. I'm the fly in the ointment. I was at the last planning committee meeting. Two people spoke against, so there's more than me. The fire commissioner was not happy with his capability of protecting the people in the proposed area. And I'd just like to say that I get along with the Smith family. It's just the project that I'm opposed to. When I dressed this evening, I was trying to find a pair of striped pants. You know what I'm going to say? No. Because putting in townhomes is like mixing plaid and stripes. It just doesn't work. It never will. The lifestyle is different, and the symmetry to the existing buildings just doesn't connect. The assessed value of the townhomes might reach $1 million, whereas a fifth building would easily reach $3 million, a substantial difference in taxes. And it's the same space. Prairie Park is the most successful project in Wheeling. And I'm asking the board at this point to find the funds, find the assistance, help Mr. Smith build the 5th building. It's the only thing that really fits into that property. It's their dream, and I'm here to ask you to help them complete it. This is the picture, the drawing of Prairie Park as it was when people bought their units. Just visualize moving Wolf Road into Prairie Park. Think about it. Wolf Road doesn't belong in Prairie Park. The 5th building belongs, and that's why I'm here to ask you to help him build the 5th building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That was the last one.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. Staff reports. You didn't sign up.
I know, that was the situation. My question is this: do I get, we put on the new agenda for the Board of Appeals that you guys also do? Is that, do I wait till then, or do we do it now?
There's no appeal from the Plan Commission. At this point, the board's going to act on the Plans Commission recommendation. And the time to speak was during public comment.
Well, that's a situation. When there's a board, when there's a planning commission, then it goes to the board for appeal.
That's not correct. It goes to this board for a decision. It's a recommendation from the Plan Commission on a special use, in this case, an amendment to the PUD. According to our procedures, it comes to this board for a decision, not an appeal. It's a decision. That's the procedure. Yes, sir.
Well, before it's on the new agenda, and that's where my concern is. So I want, we're in opposition of a new.
It's not. This is not an appeal. It's an action on the recommendation of the Plan Commission, as indicated by the President. The time to speak relative to this was during public comment. Those are the procedures in place.
And I actually made an unusual extra announcement before the meeting that if anybody wanted to speak to any issues on the agenda, that they had to sign up before the meeting. And this issue is over. The citizens' comments period is done. I'm sorry, but we're going to proceed with the regular agenda. I can't just change the agenda for one or two people. Thank you, George. Staff reports. Human Services Director Sherry Huizer.
Good evening. I just want to let people know that beginning June 28th, our congregate dining program will be returning to in-person dining after many, many months of being only drive-through meal service. We have served over 30,000 meals to older adults during the pandemic, and we are now very excited to return. We will be continuing with the drive-through meals for those who do not feel safe dining in person or who would like to continue receiving the meals Monday through Friday for older adults 60 and over.
Thank you, Ms. Huizer. Clerk Brady, consent agenda.
All items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the village board. and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered after all other agenda items. Resolution. Authorizing the Chief of Police to execute a grant funding agreement from the Illinois State Police Office for the statewide 9/11 system in the amount of $85,481.07 to defray the cost associated with 9/11 system consolidation. 11B, resolution approving the agreement with Hyman Reedman for prosecutorial services for the Village of Wheeling. 11C, resolution approving a contract with Utility Dynamics for the 2021 streetlight replacement program in the amount of $368,147 in fiscal year 2021. 11D, resolution authorizing waiver of competitive bidding and acceptance of previously bid purchase contracts for one 65-foot truck mounting aerial lift with chipper body and one 45-foot truck mounted aerial lift for Versa Lift in the amount not to exceed $294,986. 11E, resolution waiving competitive bidding and approving a previous bid contract with Patriot Paving Maintenance for the fiscal year 2021 crack sealing program in the amount of $39,996. And 11F, resolution approving a one-year contract extension with Al Warren Oil Company, Inc. for the purchase of gasoline and diesel fuel in the amount of $263,000.
Thank you, Clerk Brady.
Excuse me, that's $236,000?
Yes.
Questions or comments from the board or the attendants? If there are none, I need a motion for approval as read.
So moved.
Trustee Lang, second. Trustee Kruger, are you waving at me?
I said second.
Oh, I
And
didn't.
hello.
Oh, okay. Second to Trustee Kruger, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel,
Yes.
Trustee Lang,
Yes.
Trustee Vito,
Yes.
Trustee Rafato,
Yes.
Trustee Papantos,
Yes.
Trustee Kruger,
Yes,
President Horker.
Yes. New business, Clerk Brady.
13A, resolution authorizing the village president and village clerk to execute an agreement in the amount of $42,972 between the Village of Wheeling and Chicago North Shore Convention and Visitors Bureau relative to the village membership in the Bureau.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. Mr. Ainsworth, what do we got?
Thank you, President Horker. I have here to introduce Gina Speckman, Executive Director of the Chicago North Shore Convention and Visitor Bureau, to talk about our membership and the benefits that we receive each year.
Okay, so First of all, good evening. Thank you for having me back again. What a year since I last saw you all, is all I have to say. If we had only known what we would go through the last 12 months when we were now 15 months past. But thank you for having me again. I'll try to be quick. As you know, we are a consortium that works with Wheeling and 8 other communities to bring visitors to our area. Our mission a little bit changed during COVID, which I'll be going through, but we're still committed now in recovery to aggressively sell and market your hotels, restaurants, and retail businesses. Half of our money comes from the state of Illinois, and then the rest from our 9 member communities. Our budget last year was pretty much cut in half from pre-COVID levels. We got half of our funding from the state compared to what we normally get, and then we came to the communities and cut our request by half also. Going into FY22, we're in a July fiscal year. We just found out last week that the state is giving us our full pre-pandemic funding level, but we are still requesting half from our communities because we know hotel tax has been really down. So our request is 50% of what it was pre-pandemic. And just to give you an idea, for our overall budget of $1.5 million, Wheeling's contribution is about 3% of our budget. This is just an overview that basically every community within 30-mile radius, or probably even farther, of downtown Chicago is covered by a Convention and Visitors Bureau and is afforded that state hotel tax dollars. So pretty much, you know, you're in good company. Everyone's covered by this lucrative state grant program. And addressing COVID, we completely pivoted. We weren't bringing in conventions from all over the country. We weren't bringing in tour groups from everywhere. We didn't have people flying here. We became really hyper-local in our marketing, and we pivoted so that our businesses would survive to see recovery. That was our mission. And so right away, we went and indicated, you know, who had to go, who had outdoor dining in the summer, and we did a campaign for small businesses. We did and highlighted all the things that our communities were doing to help, you know, first responders. We took everything we could that people were stuck at home, like what could they do in terms of experiences that were virtual. We also became experts in PPP, business interruption grants, EIDL loans, things, EITC. I mean, all these things that the businesses could partake in, and so that they could get these federal dollars, and a lot of them did. We became experts in these fields. We got a lot of that money. We got $400,000 in federal relief as a bureau, which went to help your businesses. So we were happy to provide that and get that money and use it for Wheeling businesses. But we also had tons of Zoom events so that we could help people get their own grants. And after doing these seminars, we would help people one-on-one. We did paid social media. We suspended our membership program. We helped any business that was applicable, meaning restaurants and retailers, to the people we service, and we promoted what they were doing, whether or not they were a member of the Bureau. We also went and did 360 video of all our hotels so that planners could go and walk through a hotel and see it, you know, live in 360. You could see the ballrooms, the entrance, the sleeping rooms, and we did that for the Wheeling hotels so that planners could sit at home because they couldn't come and do site inspections for the future and walk through, for example, here the Westin, and see the whole hotel in 360. We expect that business travel, which is very important to the Westin, will come back about 70% by year end pre-COVID. That's really important to your hotel here, your main hotel. So we all know it, they know it. We need the business traveler to come back. It's the bread and butter for a lot of the North Shore hotels, so that we just got to be realistic about the timing of that lagging leisure travel to return. To that end, we're doing, I'm not going to go through all this, but we are doing all the things we normally did for leisure marketing for the meeting market. So a lot of social, a lot of targeted, all digital to meeting planners, and it's all these different elements in terms of finding and identifying the perfect candidates for our North Shore product. We are doing a campaign that's part of a Cook County initiative. Well, it's CMAP, so it's all metropolitan Chicago. The campaign is the only thing missing is you, and this one is called The Only Thing Missing Is Your Group. That's the meeting market version of it. We did a lot of digital to get people out to do whatever they can do, and now that they can go into Cubs games and do these other things, we're really out there marketing road trips and leisure traveler, because that's what visitors are doing now. We created deals of the day, retail support. We elevated local voices of people who are home and had a lot of followers. We have thousands of followers of people that started just, hey neighbor, here's where to eat. Here's who has the best deal. We did our North Shore Restaurant Month Takeout Edition, our 14th year. We created a North Shore job board because a lot of our restaurants and hotels are really having a problem finding staff. I'm sure you've heard about this. So anybody that wants to can go on there, click, submit their open positions, and we advertise this out to targeted areas where people can get transportation to come to our jobs and fill these jobs, because that's a big issue with our restaurants. We do newsletters, one local, one to the regional. Again, we're focusing this summer on drive-in traffic because of coming out of the pandemic. We did a program with Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning using the Chicago Bureau's ad agency and about 8 other CVB's bureaus. And we did the Only Thing Missing Is You campaign. We each contributed to it, as did Chicago. And this campaign's going through September. And this is like some of our creative for it. We're using it in our own advertising also to expand it. All the bureaus are with our budgets individually. And now that we're in phase 5 and we're kind of moving out, we really couldn't market to a lot of meetings to book this summer because we didn't know that we'd be in phase 5 and it wasn't guaranteed. We couldn't sign contracts, but now we know we can. So it's very busy, very aggressive. We got a lot of RFPs coming through. There's a lot of pent-up demand, and we're going to be, we're there already. We've been out there in the market working with our hotels, working with our restaurants. There's a lot of outdoor dining. There's a lot of talk in our towns about keeping some of the outdoor options, all the time now, moving forward. And we're just engaging with some new audiences. And that's my really quick version of the overview of what we have been doing and what we're going to be doing moving forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. And thank you for the 70%, because my question is, how is your crystal ball? On the 70%, you said business. What do you think leisure travel is going to do? What do you think weddings?
Well, weddings are back. They're, that has come back. We're booking weddings into 22 and 23. Meetings, it's going to be, a lot of the larger size meetings, especially Weston is the largest ballroom we have on the North Shore and the largest hotel in our service area. And those kind of bigger meetings, they don't get planned in 2 months, So even if something wanted to be planned in September, it would have had to have been booked in January, February. Well, they couldn't guarantee a client that they could host that. We were still at 50 people tops in January or February.
Right.
I mean, now everything's open and it's like COVID, it wasn't even here, but at that time we couldn't sign contracts and guarantee that. But I think that, leisure travel's back first. We are trying to be realistic that we are not going to recover on the North Shore as fast as like Door County or pure vacation destinations. We have always benefited from being a big meeting and group destination. That will come back stronger, but slower.
Do you think the business communities will go back to pre-COVID, or will they say, hey, we made it without, and maintain that 70%, or perhaps only come back at 80%?
It's both, because what we're seeing is if someone had a 300-person meeting and then they went all video, all Zoom during COVID, they got way more people during, that time, because they charged less and they had like 800 people from all over the country go and attend their event. Still, there's going to be 300 people that want to meet in person, and they're still always going to be hybrid. They're still going to Zoom that event because now they see they can make money from the people in person and add that Zoom component. So they're going to end up, the meetings I think are going to be back. There's still going to be people that want to meet, and they're going to then take a higher end by having people, in addition, Zoom in. Every event is now going to be filmed and, be live.
Thank you.
So we all think people want to see each other and come back.
It's hard to guess.
It's hard to guess, but it's going to be not the same world, but a new world. And I don't think that necessarily means worse. It'll be different and better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang?
Thank you. Hi, Gina. Have you been able to work with our chamber much recently? I know they sort of took a hiatus for a while and concentrating on industrial. But is there any hope for the future there where you guys can start working together again?
Well, I've always worked with Nina. I even talked to her when during her hiatus. We have a good understanding. Like anytime we go into a community to have a networking event or do any kind of project, we ask the chamber if they want to work with us on it. When it's something that's just manufacturing related, then she doesn't reach out to us. But other than that, we work with her. We work really closely. We have in the past to do Taste of the Town and to do, Restaurant Month. We work in conjunction with her and the chamber. So, I don't know what her, job is going to be moving forward. The fact that she's back, I think, is a good sign. She knows me very well. She knows to reach out. We do a lot of co-op advertising for each individual municipality and their chamber if they want to do such. What I mean is, if they want to do village-specific advertising, they can put together a program and we match up to $3,000 for it. So, I can make her aware of that program because it might not have existed during her time before.
Good. Give her a call.
I know her, I'll give her a call, yes.
And one last question. In our strategic plan, we're working on a revamp of Restaurant Row. And are you aware of any of that? Probably. Okay. How can we leverage your help in that push once things get underway on our end?
Well, we've had before, during our restaurant month, we've brought social media influencers here that have gone to the different restaurants. We have a page devoted, we had, on our website and visitor's guide to Restaurant Row. So any new initiative or thing that's happening on Restaurant Row, we are always looking to promote that kind of information. I mean, we've always still promoted it, even though now it's a new and renewed initiative. Restaurant Row is very important to us for Wheeling, but anything that we can do to get the word out there, we have a really loud voice, and especially now in digital where everyone's finding out their information. So if it's an idea, and reach out to me. I mean, Patrick knows how to find me, and run things by me all the time.
And if I can add just a couple quick notes, I uniquely sit on both the board for the CVB and the chamber, and by all means, if there's collaboration, I'll be one of those folks that are spearheading those initiatives. And I just want to give additional credit and kudos to Jean and her team. She's not only helped with our new dispensary with reaching out to them, she's reached out to Town Center. She has done a lot to promote Wheeling, our interactive dining guide. I know she's pushed out. They have 44,000 followers on Facebook. So whenever that is pushed out, that is pushed for a Wheeling business, that is pushed out to 44,000 potential customers. So we've heavily relied on Jean and her team, especially during last year. So I appreciate the relationship we have. And again, thank you for all the efforts you've done last year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other questions or comments, we do need a motion for approval.
So moved. Second.
Give Trustee Lang, second to Trustee Papantos. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item B, Clerk Brady.
13B, resolution awarding a Wheeling restaurant and retail build-out assistance grant to Kilcoyne's Redwood Inn at 342 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Mr. Ainsworth, this is one of our new programs?
Yes, and to dovetail with that thunder, I actually wanted to say this is one of our first grants ever with the Village of Wheeling that's accommodated interior renovations. So if you recall, last December we had overrode the facade program. We kind of retired that one and replaced it with this one. So the emphasis is as both exterior and interior. And Mr. Joe Kilcoyne from Kilcoyne's is here tonight if you have any questions for him. But he is requesting $23,576 in reimbursement grant funding. He is taking out the drop ceiling in the dining room. He's replacing that with shiplap from a product actually from a Wheeling business here in town. He's upgrading some electrical, HVAC. He's also doing some interior doors and at least one window facing Milwaukee Avenue. So as a part of his grant application, he's doing a combination of exterior and mostly interior items. This has been a family business for 50 years, and staff does recommend approval of this grant recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Ainsworth. Trustee Papantos and then Trustee Lang.
Thank you. Mr. Kilcoyne? If you have to come to the mic, sorry.
Come on up and introduce yourself. for
Otherwise, the
recording.
world can't hear you. Sorry.
That's all right.
Good evening.
Good evening. Just a real quick question, and it's a lot of work, and I appreciate because you've been there as long as I can remember, and I've lived here forever, which is great. Will you have to close during these renovations? Because there's a lot of interior ceilings and...
Yeah, well, what I would propose to do would be to close the dining room and keep the bar area open and use the beer garden, which the health board has allowed me to use, and use the outside as much as possible. Because it is, through this whole process for the last 16 months, you guys have been very gracious and very generous and very understanding with the predicament that we've been through. And it really boils down to my employees, their jobs. So the last thing I want to do is take that time away from them. They've worked so hard and helped so much, and to get to this point, that it would be kind of hard, but if I had to, I would do whatever you would require.
So, I mean, I think that sounds like a plan, but I'm not the health department to approve that, so and that's great. But how long do you expect the renovations to take so that?
The dining room will take approximately 1 week, and then on the days that we would do the paneling inside the bar area, I would close on those individual days and do it on a Monday. When they're done working and clean up, maybe open at 3 in the afternoon.
Great. So it's not a long-term project, and I'd hate to see you have to shut down to do this.
It's basically cosmetic, so.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang?
Thank you. Question for Patrick, and then tail on to you. Patrick, do we include bathrooms, in this grant as well? ADA compliance and so on?
There's in the application, there's a list of items that the applicant can choose. So yes, that there is grant dollars available for upgrades to bathrooms if the applicant chooses to.
Okay. So, Joe, you might want to consider that in the future. Your bathrooms are a bit antiquated, so.
Well, you haven't been by in a while. You should stop by.
I will do that.
Okay.
But, there is grant money available for that as well. And
yeah, I'd just like to get through this first process and see where this is all new to me, so. And it's very gracious that you'd be able to, I'm glad to participate in this. We've been here 50 years, and I plan on sticking around for a long time.
Good.
So.
Well, there's, we talked about Milwaukee Avenue tonight with some of the restaurants and so on, and, it's nice to see there's another.
Our family's been proud to be a part of Wheeling for many, many years.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Sarah, Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. Real quick question. Mr. Kilcoyne, first of all, thanks for being here for 50 years.
Oh, my pleasure.
Glad to have you take part in our new program, too. And did you do carry-out during pandemic? Did you have a...
Yes, actually, when the first shutdown, well, through Lent, we were doing the fish fry. And all the way to actual, the Friday, the Good Friday, on that particular night, I did 140 fish fries that night.
Very good.
And that was all just carry-out.
So will you do then carry-out?
Carry-out's always
going to be available. Yeah. Great. That should help you on those days that you need to close. So.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. If there are no other questions or comments, we do need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Trustee Vogel will get the motion. Is that Trustee Papantos for the second?
Sure.
Rafato was.
It was so her.
I thought so. You guys are messing with me now. Trustee Papantos for the second.
Okay.
Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rafato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes.
Thank you so much for your support. It's been a pleasure.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. Item C, Clerk Brady.
Resolution awarding a restaurant and retail build-out assistance grant to Old Munich Inn, 582 North Milwaukee Avenue.
Mr. Ainsworth.
Thank you, President Horker. As Clerk Brady had mentioned, this is Old Munich Tavern, and I apologize that there was a scrivener's error on that one, but there's extensive renovations being added to both inside and outside, and Mr. Bill Lombardius is here if there's any questions. But this is a great opportunity to take advantage of the grant and actually expand his kitchen to expand his menu offerings. With that, he's going to add a 1,000-gallon grease trap, a new exhaust hood fan system, upgrading the fire suppression and fire alarm. It's going to do some outdoor improvements, including a 600-square-foot deck, a good new gazebo with outdoor seating, electrical upgrades, lighting upgrades, more landscaping upgrades, et cetera. So again, Mr. Lombardius is here. You may recall in 2018, he did receive the facade grant, which was, again, for facade work. This grant is covering new items, and staff is supportive of this grant request. Mr. Lombardius is going to invest about $136,000 to $140,000 into this property with the request of $50,000 in the grant. Again, Economic Development staff does recommend approval for this request.
Thank you, Mr. Ainsworth. Questions or comments from Trustee Papantos?
I just didn't want you to feel left out. I do want to mention that I think it's great that you are expanding. From the point that you opened, it really hasn't been that long, and I'm glad that your business is successful. Are you back to full hours at this point?
Not yet. We're on the weekends, 2 o'clock, but we'll staff a little bit better and then reopen again at the 4 a.m.
Great.
Stay open until 4 a.m.
And how long do you expect this project to take to get everything, the outside area up and running?
As fast as I can get the workers to start. The outdoor can take up to 3 weeks, and also the kitchen work up to 3 weeks. So hopefully they can start in a couple weeks, and then it's a 3-week process.
And will there be any interruption in business during any of this?
No.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang?
Yeah, it's amazing all the things you're doing, Bill. It's really going to step up your business a ton. Remember, just a few short years ago, if you didn't step in for this business, it would probably be torn down by now and just a grassed over strip. And so, again, thank you for all the work you're putting into this building and then some. It's going to be great.
Glad to be a part of the community and growing in the community.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Trustee Lang. If there are no other comments, Mr. Ferrolo, you want to please read to us or explain to us what the motion needs to be so that everybody gets what they need?
The resolution mistakenly refers to the Old Munich Inn. The proper legal entity is the Old Munich Tavern, Inc. So if the motion can be a motion to approve the resolution with all references to the Old Munich Inn being amended to the Old Munich Tavern, Inc.
So I would need a motion as described.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Rufato is the motion, second with Trustee Kruger. Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for everyone's help and support. And Patrick.
Don't forget you got a variation, so don't go far.
Right there.
Oh, yeah, next one. Clerk Brady, D.
Ordinance granting variation from Title 19 zoning to reduce the required side yard setback and the required rear yard setback at 582 North Milwaukee Avenue, Old Munich Inn Tavern, dock number 2021-19.
Mr. Ferrolo, I see this is Old Munich Inn. Are we going to do the same thing with the?
Certainly, if you can make the similar motion relative to this particular ordinance.
We'll get right to that. We'll see if we have any questions first. Trustee Papantos?
Just one quick question. The setback is, if anything, going to affect the parking lot of Buca, correct? I mean, that's where it's going to, that's what you're abutting up to, is
Correct.
more on that side. Did they have any comments to you at all?
No, not at all. It's
Great.
on the grass area, so it's not affecting.
So doesn't really care one way or the other. Thank you.
If there are no other questions, then we need a motion.
So moved.
Trustee Lang, second.
Second.
Trustee Rufato, with changes as outlined by Mr. Ferrolo, so it's Old Munich Tavern, Inc.
Correct.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Thank you, sir. There you go. E.
Ordinance granting special use approval to permit a child daycare facility at 199 First Street. Compassionate Love Daycare, Inc., docket number 2021-18.
Mr. Clicker, your turn. What do we got?
Yes, before you have a request for the petitioner Compassionate Love Daycare, Inc., to operate a special use, or a daycare as a special use at the location of 199 First Street. This was presented to the Plan Commission on, when was it presented? On June 9th, and received unanimous recommendation of approval.
I actually have a questions left. Okay. Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. Thanks. I know in the packet you indicated that many of the employees from the Greek American Rehab Center will be utilizing the daycare. How many employees do you think will be utilized? How many children from employees do you think will be there?
Right now, we have indications of interest from at least a dozen that are currently very interested in using that. And as we open, we believe that there will be many more as they see the operation actually unfold and open.
Okay, and my concern, and it's really not a village concern, I think it's more of a state concern, is walking the kids from your facility through the Greek American parking lot to get to the playground at Chamber Park. My mom happened to have resided at Greek American for a period of time, and I know what that parking lot's like. Are you hopeful that the state's going to approve that?
Trustees, it already has been approved. The State of Illinois Department of Children and Family Services has given us our provider identification number, which allows us to use that easement, as well as the sidewalk that will give us access to that area as well. So we think that it's not going to be any problem because the State of Illinois has already approved that through our provider number that they granted to us. They've already approved that, Trustee.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Lang, and then Trustee Rufato, and then Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. So there are a few residents in the audience. They probably wanted to speak on this portion of it, and they cannot. So I will ask the questions. What kind of concern will you have for the residents on that street as well, with traffic going through, pick up and drop off and so on, and children being cared for by their parents, dropped off at the door, however your system works, where it won't upset the remaining homes in the neighborhood?
Trustee, the building that was purchased by the Greek American Rehabilitation and Care Center for $875,000 is going to be used very similar to what the prior use that the village had, that is, as a senior center. Senior center had traffic going back and forth. It did not seem to substantially impair the ability of the residents to enjoy the quiet enjoyment of their facility. This is no different, really, than the prior use that the village had of this same building and the same parking area. We don't see that it's going to have any more of an impact than the prior use that the village had of this same building.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Rufato?
Actually, Trustee Lang asked my question, so I'm good.
Sorry.
Thank you, Trustee
All right.
Rufato. Trustee Kruger?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Welcome. My question is regarding some of the existing pictures of the site. I believe it's picture number 4 that shows a pretty dead tree I was wondering, that made me think if there were going to be any outdoor upgrades to the landscaping of the property. I would hate to see one of those dead limbs fall on somebody.
Trustee, that tree has been removed. No longer there.
So that's an old picture.
An old picture. We spent a lot of money in removing 5 dead trees that were around our building, addressing exactly the concern that you just raised.
Especially with children, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I know how expensive it is to remove very big trees.
That was a big tree, an expensive tree. Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate your effort, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Vogel.
Just a question. The water, the pond there, is there any intent to put a fence around there? I mean, you're going to have young children running around.
Yes, the state of Illinois already addressed that issue. They recognize that is a concern, but we have addressed that to the satisfaction of the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services, because they saw the water that was there. In the future, as we're able to open and to be able to get more funds in, we're going to be requesting a fence permit from the village in accordance with all of the requirements that the village has for the proper installation of that fence. But the city, strike that, the state of Illinois has already approved the fact that there is that water feature there. They're very well aware of that. And as a practical matter, we've addressed how we're going to be addressing any safety concerns there.
Okay. Your insurance carrier doesn't mind?
No.
Okay.
We addressed that, Trustee.
Right.
We
Thank
addressed
you.
it. Yes, we did.
Thank you, Trustee Vogel. My question, I did actually have a question similar to Trustee Lang's relative to the traffic up and down the street for up to 60 children. I don't believe the senior center had everyday traffic with that many people up and down the street. Is there, have you figured how long it's going to take you to reach your saturation level of 60, potentially 60 students? Well, that would be, as you correctly point out, that's going to be an upper limit that we have. It's going to take a time to ramp that up, and as we become more efficient, certain children will be coming and going, our census will rise and fall. Sure. And so we can't say that it's going to be 60 at this point, but certainly the fact that we have 37 parking spaces there, that when we purchased this from the village, indicated that they had a robust use of that property. And we do not anticipate anywhere near that kind of use, quite frankly. Yeah. It was a robust use periodically. Periodically. Thank you, sir. If there are no other questions, Trustee Rufato.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just trying to understand you have 37 off-street parking spaces, but you have 14, 18, 22, 26 employees. So is 37 the total amount of parking that you have, parking spaces that you have? Yeah, we have the 37 parking spaces, but don't forget, this is going to be in shifts, Trustee. So we're going to have people there from 6 to 6, and we're going to be having shifts. As one shift leaves, there'll be another shift coming in, so there's going to be more than adequate parking to be able to accommodate the employees. And don't forget, the people that are going to be dropping off their children, they are not going to be parking long. They're going to walk their children in, and then they're going to leave and come back. So those parking spaces will be used very, very briefly. So what type of shifts do you have from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.? You said they come in shifts. You have 18, 22, 24 employees, and you said they're going to be working in shifts.
I'd like to have our director address how the mechanics of the shifts are going to be structured, if that's acceptable.
Good evening. My name is Diane Haas. I'm the Center Director of Compassionate Love Daycare. Actually, we're going to have 14 people, not 24 or 36. I forget how many you just said. The shifts will range so that there will be opening staff, which would start at 5:45 in the morning because we open at 6, and then they'll work for an 8-hour shift. In the very end part of that shift, the next staff will come in approximately right around 11 o'clock so that staff can eat lunch, and then they'll work until 6:15 that night. And then in between, there's floating staff so that they can give breaks to like the infant teachers and the toddler teachers who can't be in ratio at all without another staff there.
Okay, so I'm reading this paragraph, and it will employ 14 people, and including that is a director, assistant director, okay, got it. So it's
Right.
not 20-something?
No,
It's
no,
just
sir,
14?
it is not.
And then those are in shifts?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. So then you've got people, you've got parents dropping off their children. Hopefully, they will park in a parking space and take their children out.
It is
and
a
instead
policy.
of
It is a policy that they have to, children cannot just be dropped off at the entrance. These are small children. We are going to be accepting children from 6 weeks up until they're 5 years and matriculate to kindergarten. So they can't just be dropped off at the door. They have to, DCFS policies and regulations state that they have to be walked in, checked in, then they have to be walked to their classroom and given to a teacher. So no child will ever be loose, for want of a better word.
No, but, you know, depending upon how they park haphazardly, possibly in the parking lot.
In my experience, most of the time, because these are parents of small children, they do abide by the rules because nobody wants a little one or a parent hurt.
So then, in your 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and this probably concerns the amount of traffic coming through there, where is, in your experience, and I'm sure you have experience in this.
I do.
Where is the greater amount of traffic? What time frames are the greater amount of traffic?
There'll be a morning time, usually from the opening time, so say 6, probably to like 8, where there'll be people coming in. And again, they're not going to be going fast because there's a very short distance from the corner where they turn in to our center. They come in the entrance, park their car, walk their little humans to their class. And then, again, at pickup, it's usually anywhere from 3:30 through 5:30 are the biggest times. And again, it's not a free-for-all. It's not people just rushing in and driving haphazardly. All of these people are parents that have children that, you know, are very aware of that. I've been in this business in early childhood education, both as an educator and as an administrator now for over 30 years. And there are not accidents with the parents. If there are accidents, it's if you're out on the road because of other people, not parents. So in my experience.
Thank you.
But we're nice and confined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. No other questions or comments? We need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion trustee Rufato, second trustee Papantos. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Good luck.
Thank you.
Items F and G, please read them both.
F is the ordinance approving preliminary plan unit development plans that will amend ordinance number 4552, which amended ordinance number 3721, which granted plan unit development final plan approval for the Prairie Park condominium development to allow for a substantial change to the approved development plans, docket number 2021-17, and G, resolution approving the preliminary plat of Re-Subdivision for Prairie Park at Wheeling Subdivision, current addresses 40 through 115 Prairie Park Drive, docket number 2021-22.
Thank you, Clerk Brady. Mr. Clicker.
Yes, good evening. Before you tonight, you have a request from the Smith family developers who seek an amendment to the approved Prairie Park condominium plan unit development to allow for a substantial change to the approved development plans for non-easement area 3 and for adjoining common areas for the construction of 18 single-family townhomes rather than the approved 66-unit condominium building currently referred to as the 5th condo building. This, for the PUD, they are requesting some deviations from the Wheeling Municipal Code, as they are allowed to do under the PUD guidelines. The 4 deviations that they're looking for are: 1, minimum parking stall dimensions of 9 foot by 18 foot rather than 9 foot by 18 foot. 6, for guest parking along Prairie Court and certain driveway parking as identified in the preliminary site plan. 2, a reduction in the required separation of 30 foot between buildings to 10-foot minimum separation. 3, to allow bicycle parking to be located inside the townhome garages rather than installing external bike racks. And 4, a reduction in the rear yard setback from 30 foot to 8 foot. The findings of fact are provided by the Plan Commission is a negative recommendation due to the fact that when this was before them, it went in a 2-2 vote. Since an approval recommendation must receive a majority yes votes for the quorum of the Plan Commission. However, the petitioner has met the minimum requirements of Title 19 regarding preliminary planned unit development, and as such, an ordinance attached for the board's consideration is for granting the preliminary planned unit development approval, and an amendment to the Prairie Park Condominium unit development granted by ordinance, as previously mentioned, is provided for your consideration. The item G is the plat of subdivision. Again, the findings are the same as it was a 2-2 vote, but it does have conditions of approval with the plat, and those conditions, I'm sorry, there were also conditions I should go back and mention for the PUD approval, and those are as follows: that the final details of the paver material and specifications shall be included on the final PUD plans for staff review. Number 2, electrical service for Meadow Lane Lift Station needs to be transferred to the developer's ComEd account. For all previous outstanding balances must be paid to the village. 3, detention basin number 2 at the northeast corner of the property needs to be constructed and tied into the storm sewer system as was originally approved. This will include the removal of the leasing office trailer and parking area at this location. And 4, as-built drawings for the Prairie Park subdivision will need to be provided. This will need to include detention basin number 2 and the related storm sewer and final grading. So those were the conditions on the PUD. As far as the plat of subdivision, there are 5 conditions that were associated with that. And they are: 1, references to Phase 2 shall be removed from the plat of re-subdivision upon submission of the final plat of re-subdivision. 2, the Prairie Park at Wheeling Phase 2 subdivision preliminary shall be revised to correctly identify the proposed 8-foot building setback line at the northern row of townhomes to be consistent with the original plat upon submission of a final plat of re-subdivision. 3, the final plat of re-subdivision of the Prairie Park at Wheeling subdivision shall include all existing easement provisions recorded with the original Prairie Park at Wheeling subdivision. 4, all necessary plat certificates shall be provided on the final plat of re-subdivision. And 5, all plat requirements of Title 17, planning, subdivisions, and developments of the Wheeling Municipal Code shall be provided for on the final plat of re-subdivision. As I stated, these went to the Plan Commission and received a 2-2 vote. So technically, they are coming before you with a negative recommendation.
Technically. Questions from the board? Trustee Lang?
Is there a presentation that you have, first of all?
Just me.
Just you.
Yes. And questions.
Lucky. Okay. Well, since went to me, I'm
Go ahead.
with my
I
question.
got to call everybody.
So my question actually is for Mr. Clicker.
Yes, sir.
Before your time, the minimum parking stall, wasn't that at one point 19 feet? And then I think the Plan Commission looked at some relief.
Yes.
And knocked it down the 6 inches. And here we are chipping away at it again. So, I mean, that's my biggest issue with this, is that we keep chipping away with the codes that we set in place. And, I mean, it was 19 at one time, and we did provide relief. Is your engineering that rigid where you can't make any adjustments to the shifting of the building? I mean, the backyards are very small to begin with.
Yes. Just by way of introduction, good evening. My name is Dan Shapiro. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner. as to your question, the engineering is very tight, and there are roughly 9 buildings where there's 18 versus 18.6. And that, not only is it engineered that way, but there's also some common sense that goes in here. If you look at who's living in Prairie Park now, there are very few Suburbans. There are very few minivans. We did like a very informal poll. There's like 15% of the units had these big cars. Those are the cars that are affected by 18 versus 18.6. So you have 9 buildings where there's really very few large Suburbans anyway. Secondly, to the extent that there would be any concern, there will be HOA provisions that say you can't go over, and if you do, you get fined, you get warned, and you get fined. So there will be an enforcement mechanism. And then third, we looked at this, and we said, well, can we make the streets narrower in order to make the parking lane spaces a little bit longer? So we first thought, yeah, we can do that, but we can't, because that gets us into the turning radius issue that, as you know, became somewhat of an issue with the fire department until we were able to clarify that and show that the turning radius, as the roads are currently constructed, or would be constructed, is fine. So to answer your questions, yes, but this, we believe, is not a major issue given the folks who are living in Prairie Park, because you're just not going to have that size car that will overlap.
And I understand that. I believe you, that to be truthful, that's not going to be an issue. But we've had our issues in town where we've made a variation or allowed a variation to certain things like this, and it's come back to haunt us.
Well,
it comes back because it points back to the village. Why do you approve this?
I can't speak to those haunting days, but what I can speak to is the departures are allowed with the PUD, as you well know from your experience here. Our departures are, again, very limited, 3 or 4. We can talk about the other ones, given the whole development. So that's what a PUD is for, to allow for some flexibility. We're asking for the board for these 4 departures to allow for the flexibility. I truly don't think that with the limitations and the circumstances that I just explained, should you allow them, that this is going to come back and bite you in the backside.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lang. Trustee Papantos, then Trustee Kruger, and then Trustee Rufato.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Shapiro. Just for the record, I count 14 driveways that are at 18. Okay, not, so.
I said nine buildings.
Okay, buildings, okay, yeah, so, but out of 18 buildings, you've got a substantial amount that are under it, and having, the fact that I live in a townhouse association that was built a long time ago, I will tell you, it will become a problem. It's tight. Our driveways are short. My sister comes to see me. She cannot park in my driveway. She drives a Yukon. God only knows why, but she drives a Yukon.
So you know what this reminds me of? You may remember when we did Horton.
Yes.
And there was an issue with respect to the size of the garage.
Yes.
Right?
I remember that.
And everything was okay. And I think it's just a matter of time and people getting used to their circumstances, being educated, knowing when they sign up, they get the CCRs, they know that this is a rule. So I don't want to be dismissive of your concern, but I truly don't believe that under these circumstances, as I just told Trustee Lang, it's going to be a problem.
Right, and in the end, it's not going to be the village problem, it's going to be the developer problem who can't sell a unit because somebody's very expensive, very fancy truck will not fit in the garage and or driveway. And we know people like to drive the nice, fancy, whatever, I don't know trucks. Who do you plan to market these units to?
So, Jamie, if you want to talk about this.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, sorry.
Jamie Smith, yeah, these will be marketed to the same residents that we see at Prairie Park currently. Empty nesters, people either retired or near retirement age is your general demographic there. Regarding the driveways, the garages are 20 feet deep. I drive a Tahoe. It's 17 feet from bumper to bumper. So I don't believe there's one Suburban in all of Prairie Park existing today. There may be one or two trucks that are parked outside in exterior parking. There will be exterior guest spaces that are 18.6 to accommodate those, but your demographic that you're going to see here is not going to be, someone my age with 5 kids. It's going to be the same demographics that you see buying 3 bedrooms at Prairie Park today. The most recent one that closed at $453 was a single woman in her 90s. I mean, that's just the people that Prairie Park caters to, and we think that's going to be a continuation where you have your first floor living, first floor primary bedroom, but you have the extra space for your family, friends, guests that people don't want to give up when they do downsize from large single-family homes on the North Shore or wherever they're coming from.
Is it too early to discuss price point?
No, we're not finalized. I think right around $500,000 will be our base pricing, which is in line on a per square foot basis. What you see sales at Prairie Park, we average anywhere from $200 to $225 per foot on the resale market right now. A number of those only have 1 parking space. And units are flying. I mean, the market is as I'm sure many of you are aware, is incredible right now, and we'd like to take advantage of it. And I think you'll have some of the highest priced homes selling and wheeling on that site.
Okay. And the 10-foot separation between the 2 end units, those end unit owners are going to get to know each other really well, because that is not a whole lot of space.
No, and if you look at other townhome projects, you see similar in size. I think Millbrook, it was 6 or 7 feet at certain points, and the Horton site was 12, 11 or so. And that's part of townhome living. These are people that are making an active choice to go to a no maintenance, low maintenance community when they're not having to deal with the exterior maintenance that you deal with a single family home. And we see it every day with new condo owners too. It's a big change when you go from a single family house that's 3,500 square feet to a 1,500 square foot 2-bed, 2-bath condo, and you're sharing hallways and sharing a garage now. And there's a learning curve, but as people get used to it there, I think you'll see the same thing with the townhomes.
What do you expect and I'm sorry, I didn't look closely, the square footage of each unit?
So 2,150 interior square feet plus unfinished basement, which I'm sure a large majority of these buyers will have finished out. So then you're talking an additional, what are the basement sizes, Steve? 700, 800 square feet? Yeah, so an additional 500, 600 square feet in the basement.
Okay. And I guess this goes to Mr. Shapiro. You totally understand that this is for the preliminary PUD. Unless the conditions are met, there is no final PUD.
We understand.
I just want to make sure we're all clear.
Yes, I do want to, if I could, want to speak to a couple of those. So having done this a couple of times here, I do understand, but all the conditions with respect to the preliminary plat, fine, not a problem. With respect to the preliminary PUD, there are 4 conditions, one of which I like to ask your indulgence on, and that's the one with regards to detention lot number 2, which goes hand in hand with removing the trailer. So you guys have been very kind to allow that trailer to be there, and we appreciate that. We'd like your indulgence to allow the trailer to be there until the first unit is built. That unit then will become a model unit, and we will promptly remove the trailer. Until that time, we'd like your consideration to allow the trailer to be a place where they could have sales for the townhomes. And if that's something that you want to write in as a modified condition, we would appreciate that.
Didn't we have a condition that trailer was supposed to have been gone a long time ago? So my concern with what you're saying to me is we'll never see it leave.
You did have it. Yeah, and it's there.
We're still waiting.
I can't get by those facts. All right, they're there. That is why you asked for this condition in this proposal. I understand that. You can put whatever teeth or consequence you want, but if we don't do it, after the first unit is built. But we're asking to allow for that to be sales until the first unit is built. Then we will promptly remove it within whatever time is reasonable.
Would that
You're right,
affect?
we're just asking for a little indulgence.
Would that affect the detention?
No, because right now, even without detention lot number 2, there's more than enough comp storage in detention.
I'm saying, leaving the trailer, are you also saying that we have to wait on detention number 2?
We would prefer that because there's enough detention there already. Without detention number 2, there is enough comp storage and detention for this development. And I think you're looking over to staff for confirmation.
Yes.
I would love to get confirmation from staff on that.
I don't have engineering here to answer that question specifically for me, but my understanding through talking to them is this basin is required. It was approved under MWRD standards many years ago. The new development will need to be reviewed under the current standards, and as such, MWRD may require this before they even put a shovel on the ground. So engineering was pretty adamant that this condition remain.
Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Next I have Trustee Kruger and then Trustee Rufago.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hello, Mr. Shapiro,
Hi.
Mr. Smith, and your entourage. I don't have questions as much as I just have some comments. Ultimately, I want to see this project be successful. I think that the units are very nice looking. I think there are some luxurious amenities that will be afforded to the 18 new residents. And I also think that that the residents will be a great asset to the Prairie Park community as well as the village. So for all those reasons, I'm a yes on your project. But there are a couple of items that just gnaw at my craw, and I just want to try and, I guess, understand them or at least put my position out there. One of them is that I'm still concerned about the turning radius of the corners within the site for emergency vehicles, fire, tower, ladder trucks in particular. I know that the fire inspector said it was fine, but I'm looking at your drawing number 3 in the civil engineering submit binder. I don't know if there's another way I can reference it, but it looks like there are some drawings of some rectangular, what I would assume would be a fire truck trying to move through and maneuver through there. And I just have a comment that it may have been modified and the fire marshal's okay with it, but I still feel like our fire truck drivers are going to need to be really good at maneuvering that large truck to get in and out of that community. But like I said, the drawing just really looks like everything is, he's got to hit those curves right at the right spot, or I don't know, a light's going to come down or something. But
So first, I think your drivers are really good. They have to be really good.
yeah, and they practice.
So, and we
You should
had,
see them trying 5-point turn out of my dead-end street. They're really good.
I believe you. We had a lot of discussion with Inspector Antor on this, as you probably saw from the notes in the meetings, et cetera. And he thought the same thing until I think Cliff Torberman really worked with him and said, you know, look at this, whatever. I don't want him to say whatever. But look at this closely, and this is how, and there was further explanation. So after that, and I will tell you, we were a little surprised at some of the issues that Inspector Antor brought to us, because we thought we were good. He said we weren't. So we worked with him real hard, and to his credit, he made it better. And at the last meeting, he said we're code compliant. I take his word for it, because he really pushed us to make sure we were code compliant. So I can't really interpret what you're seeing, but all I can tell you is after a lot of give and take with him, he said we were code compliant and he was okay.
Well, if he is comfortable, then I will be comfortable. So, and like I was saying, I mean, even some of the petitioner or some of the citizens that came to speak earlier today, you know, everybody knows the obvious. This is not what was supposed to go there.
Right.
And what we are trying to do is fit this in there. And we're doing this the best way we can, and some of that is with relief. The parking, the parking issue of the lengths of the driveways and the parking spaces, that concerns me as well. I'm hoping everybody drives a compact car. It's better for the environment, better for everything else, but if I don't know, Cadillac Escalade is hanging its butt end out into the street and a fire truck wants to come through, I'm afraid that car might get hit, so.
I don't mean to be judgmental. I can't see the 90-year-old who just bought a unit driving a Cadillac Escalade. I'm just saying.
I'm sorry?
There was a 90-year-old woman who just bought the most recent closing was a 90-year-old woman.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't see her driving that Cadillac.
I don't either. I don't
She
either.
needs a step stools to get in.
Right, exactly. She needs a lift. And I understand that on that parking relief, you're gonna deal with that by educating the residents. So
Educating and putting it in their CCRs.
And I know that this was not a part of any condition or any relief ask, but I'm confident that you guys are fully aware of MWRD and what they may or may not say, and that perhaps redesign might be in your future if they say 8 feet next to a body of water is not going to fly. So I'm trusting that you guys are fully well aware of that. But ultimately, I'm glad that the conditions for this project include addressing some holdover items from the previous agreement, and I'm really hopeful that this project will complete the Prairie Park community in a very timely fashion.
Thank you for your encouraging words.
You bet. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Rufato?
Thank you, Mr. President. Trustee Kruger had addressed the diversionary channel. So it's 8 feet from, you're looking for it to be 8 feet from the diversionary channel, correct? And we have basements. So do you feel, granted now it's really dry out there, but I have seen that diversionary channel, fill. That would be my concern in being that close. And I'm not sure 15 feet would make a difference, but 8 feet, you're obviously 7 feet closer. Is it 8 feet? I thought it was a little bit closer, but it is 8 feet. Okay, all right.
Yes, it is 8 feet. The basements, the lowest basement is about even with the base flood, 100-year base flood elevation.
Okay.
And the foundation walls around the buildings are 2 feet higher than that floodplain elevation. Good. So it is flood protected, and we are the 8 feet from the diversionary channel, and the diversionary channel is 70 feet wide. So that's why we feel this is a special condition where you don't have a private property within 8 feet of your back setback. You essentially have 78 feet to the next private property, which is actually owned by the
Yeah, which you would, we hope.
One
to have
moment, would you
built.
please, I'm sorry, would you please identify yourself for the...
Stephen Klump, Architects Unlimited, right here in Wheeling.
Yes, when they hear the recording, they have to know who's talking.
Yeah.
So then that, then there'll be less open, and it'll be dispersing more water into there because you're going to have things built on the 17 acres. So that is a concern. So my understanding is this has to go through MWRD, correct? So it's not.
So Cliff Toberman, our civil engineer, has already had some conversations with MWRD. If you want to.
Sure. So with Metropolitan Water Reclamation District, from a foundation standpoint, the minimum is 2 foot above the 100-year flood. We are 4 feet, actually. So the lowest foundation for the, I'll call it the northeast building, is 4 feet above. Ground level, adjacent, the units, adjacent the property line is over 2 feet, a little bit over 2 feet, about 2 1/4. And that is per MWRD permit. So the Metropolitan Water Reclamation permit from back in 2013, when Prairie Park West addition occurred, one of the huge advantages that occurred with the addition of 2 ponds to the west, that now is a 25-acre stormwater management for the facility with 3 ponds, the main Prairie Park pond, that are tied into the 2 ponds to the western portion. So the beauty of it is it actually discharges now at a much lower elevation to the diversion channel. So all those ponds are nice and low. So when you actually look at the Prairie Park development, the wisdom of the engineering of the village back in 1999, 2000, 2001, designed the development for 2 concurrent floods. The Wheeling Diversion Channel flood, event that affects Wheeling, then the Des Plaines River flood, which is a completely unique event separate from Buffalo Creek, which is how it works. Probabilities work that way. So it's actually designed all those basins are designed to fill with a Des Plaines River flood, and then that's 100-year there that backfills the diversion channel, backfills the ponds, everything in the area. On top of it, you get hit with a 100-year storm event for Buffalo Creek. So we've designed all that storage throughout those basins. So those high water numbers are extremely conservative. And you'll notice when you've seen diversion channel flood or Des Plaines River, they're never concurrent, actually, and that's by design in the state of Illinois. I mean, they recognize that statistically it doesn't occur. So very conservative. Stormwater is extremely conservative for Prairie Park today. And that's why we say there's surplus. Even with the conservative, there's significant surplus of detention, surplus of compensatory storage. We can build 30% more impervious on site that meets the current permits, and we're nowhere near that, right, with those developments. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
We talked about and I too have a concern about the length of the parking spaces. You said 9 buildings. How many units is that of the 9 buildings?
It's actually 6 buildings. It's
Yes. Yes, I'm kicking myself. It was about roughly half the parking is less than the 18.6.
Okay, so, and I did watch the Plan Commission meeting, and there was that concern. So if somebody, I think you mentioned that there's going to be fines.
Yes, in the CCRs, there'll be enforcement mechanisms in the CCRs, yes.
In that, because not only a fire truck, but during the winter, if somebody parks over the curb and a plow comes through, it's going to take out the back end of these trucks, whatever is parked there. And it doesn't have to be a big vehicle. We have, and I live in a single-family subdivision, we have people that park over the curb all the time. And the amount of education, it just goes through there in one ear and out the other. I hope you can do it because, it sounds like you can't re-engineer these. It's beautiful buildings, but that's a big concern. And I assume it's going to be a separate HOA, so they're going to have their own separate president, their own separate board, and it's not a lot of units, so they'll be able to manage that.
That's correct.
But as I think Trustee Lang said, it's going to come back to us when this continues, when it occurs. The first time it occurs, it's going to be, they'll probably, it occurs a number of times, they're going to come to us and ask us why we approved that. So, as an aside. The last thing, when Trustee Papantos was talking about removing the sale structure that you have right now, but that needs to be removed for the second basin, correct? So you can't do anything without, you have to remove that to do the second basin. Is that the way I'm understanding this?
So for the as-built, meaning once the entire project is done?
No, well, so one of the conditions, and let me read it correctly, is that the detention basin number 2 at the northeast corner of the property needs to be constructed and tied to the storm sewer system as was really approved. So that's not done. This will include the removal of the leasing office trailer and parking area in this location. So one can't be done without the other.
Correct. So as Mr. Toberman described earlier, and we do plan on doing that, removing it, finalizing the basin, tying it in. We have zero issue doing that. All we ask, especially considering the excess amount of detention and comp storage that we have on site today, which means we don't even need, we will do that basin. But because of the excess amount that we have, we're above and beyond, even with that done, what is necessary. We're just asking from a pragmatic standpoint that you let us use the sales office till we get one built, then we'll rip it out, take it out, as opposed to having to rip out a perfectly usable sales trailer to essentially put up another one.
But Ross, you indicated that engineering really wanted this done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You know, you need a sales office, at least for a period of time. What is the time frame from the time that you?
If as soon as we pull permits and get in the ground, I think we could have one completed probably in less than 6 months from when we touch the earth.
Okay.
Maybe quicker.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Rufato. Trustee Vito?
Yeah, so all of these have two-car garages, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the only time the 18 versus 18.6, and we're talking 6 inches, right? Is going to come into play is when there's 2 cars in the garage and then someone is parking outside.
Yes.
Okay.
The garage will fit the big Escapade. But if you have a guest who's now the double Escapade, that's the only time on half the units that will happen.
And then it may stick 6 inches out over a curb?
Correct.
Okay. I don't see that as being a massive issue, but, you know, and if they get their truck clipped by a plow, then you live and you learn and you don't park there next time. And the same goes with the guest parking, right? Those are 18 deep?
That half of them are and half of them are not.
Okay. So, presumably someone would have to have a guest there then with an 18, with a bigger car, not have space in their 18.6 driveway, and then something would happen, maybe, in some situation.
I think what you're saying is there's a remote possibility that this could be an issue, and I agree with you.
Right.
It's remote.
I can't see it being a deal breaker on the project, because I like the project. In terms of it not being the 5th big building, I just don't see it as being a huge issue in terms of making the entire thing look ugly or mismatched, as our one resident said. It just, the clubhouse is there, that's a different elevation, it doesn't look bad. I think this would actually be a nice augment of a little kind of diversity in the project itself. So I like that. My one concern is I heard Mr. Waller say that there'd be another 10 grand in assessment fees going back to Prairie Park per month. So that would be $555 a month going back to Prairie Park. And if they have their own HOA, are they paying 2 HOA fees? Or how's that going to work, Jamie?
No, it'll be one HOA fee. Essentially what will occur if we, are able to move forward with the project approval from the board, go back to the Prairie Park HOA, work things out. There'll be a master HOA, which essentially would take care of the shared costs, the clubhouse, waterfall, street maintenance, snow removal, landscaping, exterior lighting. So everything not including the 4 existing buildings themselves. Then the Prairie Park HOA would be their own 4 buildings, and then this would be a completely new HOA. Now, in terms of the total dollar amount that this HOA would be paying, it probably will be somewhere in the realm of 500. We don't have final numbers yet. Whatever fair portion that we work out with Prairie Park, they will get that share. It's not going to be 500. Having gone through the numbers of the Prairie Park budget with the management company, it's not going to be anywhere near that. But it will be a substantial amount of money going into the Prairie Park HOA master per year. So the existing residents there are going to be getting more revenue with 0 additional cost.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, it's not a concern that would be a deal breaker for me. I'm just worried about you guys selling $500,000 $1,000 unit and then
So-
having a $1,000 assessment fee and then
So the three,
15,000 a
the
year in
three
taxes.
bedrooms there, some of the three bedrooms there are just under 700, and they move like hotcakes.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just worried. I just
No,
don't
they
want you
won't,
to double
it won't
assess
be
these
that
guys
high. I
that
could see
can't
it being
sell 'em.
similar to what the three bedrooms are, which is like the high 600s.
Okay.
The HOAs.
Okay. And in terms of the trailer, I mean, if it works with engineering, if we can get confirmation on that, I think that's a small ask. If there's compensation, if there's enough detention there now,
We're confident, I'm confident in what Cliff said, but if that requires some further discussion to make sure of that in terms of the excess comp storage and the excess detention, we're happy to have that discussion. Thank you. That's our ask.
If our engineering or MWRD or someone is hell-bent on having that thing built first, is there another place you could put the trailer somewhere on the property? Or even in the ramp parking lot or something?
I mean, obviously, we want to move forward with the project no matter what.
Right.
This is just, as it's a pragmatism from at least my point of view. I know we do have it above and beyond with, as Cliff described, the ponds in the back, above and beyond comp storage and detention. Once again, not that we're not going to finish Basin 2, we will. The trailer is there. Rather than rip it out, have to put another one up somewhere else on site, just seems, once again, not that it shouldn't get done, because it will, and that we know engineering wants it, but we're looking for a pragmatic solution.
I don't know logistics of a trailer. When I hear a trailer, I think of something you could just put on a hitch and move.
No, it's a little more complicated than that.
All right. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. Trustee Vogel and then Trustee Papantos.
The detention basin number 2, how do we find out? We just got a lot of good news about floodplains, et cetera, that came out in March. Did that change affect Prairie Park?
No.
That we know of?
Not that we know of, no.
No? Is there a way to find out? We say not that we know of. Is there a way to find out if it did?
The LOMAR, the letter of map revision, did not affect any properties over in this area.
Did not?
Was there a benefit? Slight benefit? I can't answer that aspect of it. But did it change the letter of, the LOMAR, the letter of map revision? No.
Okay. What's it going to take to find out whether or not this detention basin number 2 is still required?
I think our engineering department can answer that question. I guess I'll be the one to say this. I think the point from staff was really the fact that it's been there for 14 years and hasn't moved. I think that was the concern, as well as the concern for the detention basin number 2 having needed to be built and hasn't. I think this is just an opportunity to make sure that the village gets what it was supposed to from the beginning.
Okay. Because, again, if detention basin number 2 isn't needed, I agree with them. I see no reason why to move the trailer someplace else. They need the sales office, hopefully, soon. And if they're willing to put in there after the first building's built, they're going to move the sales office into the model, then I have no problem leaving it there till we get this off the ground and moving, so.
All set?
Thank you, Trustee Vogel.
I think Mr. Clicker has.
Yeah, I would, from my understanding with talking with engineering, the determining factor then on that basin would be an MWRD review of the stormwater implications of this project. And I believe that if MWRD were to sign off on the proposed plan, I believe we could accept that.
Okay. And then they will need to do that before this gets finalized anyway. Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vogel. Trustee Vogel, I'm sorry. Trustee Papantos.
Thank you. On the diversionary channel, what type of barrier are you planning to put up to prevent somebody walking out the back of their unit and directly into the diversionary channel after a party?
We have provided a 3-foot walkway between the obstruction and the boundary of the detention basin or diversionary channel. We are putting an edging strip and decorative gravel along that edge to define that boundary. As far as a fencing or something, the landscaping that was suggested by staff would impose on that 3-foot walkway because we can't put it on the diversionary channel property to plant plants there. So there is a bit of a slope, but it's somewhat gradual. So I don't see someone falling down into the diversionary channel. But we do have the definition of a boundary there. So it's visual to say this is not your property going forward.
But at night, it's not going to be well lit, I'm assuming,
Well, we do have lights on the decks.
if somebody has them on.
For egress purposes, that's why you have the stairwells going down there. We don't really anticipate people utilizing that as a walking trail. There are trails throughout Prairie Park that exist today around the pond, along the village property to the north. This isn't, from the demographics that we have, the buyers that we have at Prairie Park, that will be a continuation with this project. I just don't see people utilizing their back deck to go down and use it as a walkway. But as Steve had mentioned, there's a 3-foot walkway. That slope is gradual. It is not a giant drop right when you get down off of your deck.
Okay.
The rendering is also helpful, at least it is for me, to visualize what they just spoke about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just concerned that kids or excessive partiers may forget that that's there. I mean, it happens with people. Back to the trailer, can't you just use your clubhouse as a sales office since it's temporary?
That's part of the HOA. That's not allowed per rules. You can't run a business out of there, so no.
I mean, I think Manager Svandelis spoke to it. It's been 14 years that we're waiting for this trailer to go. So forgive me if I sound a little skeptical that you'll get it moved and get the detention pond in, because it should have been done at least 10 years ago, I think.
No, and I understand. And once again, we understand that. We will have it removed. We will get that basin finished. You have my word. But as I said, we're just asking for a little bit of pragmatism. You have a perfectly good sales trailer there today. Rather than have us rip it out and have to put a new one up, within a couple months, as opposed to waiting maybe an additional 4 or 5 months or so.
But if you had done what you were supposed to, you would have been putting one up anyway. I think that's where I'm coming from.
You have every right to come from there. And what happened. But because this hopefully will be developed and because there will be cranes in the ground and things happening, that will give us a greater incentive to move it. We're not beating our chest. We're asking for some consideration. So if you approve it with the condition the way it is, we will live with that. We're not going to throw this deal away because of that. We're just asking for, as Jamie said, just a practical solution and a practical consideration. That's all. You have every right to feel that way. But now that there's hopefully soon to be a development, that I think would give you some encouragement, hopefully, that we will move that trailer once a unit is built.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Papantos. Trustee Kruger first, then Trustee Rufato.
Super quick question, probably more for Mr. Smith. You have said a couple times in tonight's discussion that sales are flying off the shelves and going like hotcakes. I'm sorry, it might be way simple thinking, but then how come you can't build a condo building?
The economics don't work. When we were looking at doing the building before, with the possibility of TIF incentive that the village worked with us on years back, the build out then was 30 million and the sellout then was 30 million. Construction costs have gone up.
Yeah.
That's why you don't see condo buildings going up. It's all apartments and townhomes or single family.
I just kept hearing it and I was just like, hey.
If the economics worked, we would do it. They don't, unfortunately.
Great, thank you.
Trustee Rafa, I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
Trustee
Mr.
Kruger, you
Smith,
done?
if you could, I have a question about the HOAs. You said you have, and I know this isn't germane, but I'm just trying to understand it. You have an overall HOA that's going to cover all the landscaping for not only the condo units and the townhouses, correct?
So there will be a new master agreement. Take this rectangle, let's call it, that this project will go on, take that out of it. What is existing there today in terms of costs, clubhouse, the waterfall, fountains, landscaping, snow removal, basically all costs not associated with the 4 residential buildings themselves would be part of the master HOA, which then these townhomes would share part of that cost. So now you have more revenue going in towards those costs and no more cost to the existing HOA. The existing 4 buildings would then have their own separate HOA that just covers the 4 buildings themselves, and then a new HOA for this townhome project.
And actually, I wasn't going at the costs. I was thinking about, I run through a number of townhome subdivisions, and it seems like they have separate HOAs. And they also come across as having separate landscapers and snowplowers, so everything's going to be the same.
We will be picking the management company. We will be using all the same vendors that Prairie Park utilizes today.
Good, because then it cuts down on amount of traffic, because, landscapers are there at all different times, and that gets down to, all the traffic throughout that area, so.
No, we also want continuity with the way everything looks. The landscapers are doing a phenomenal job today, and we plan to utilize them for.
That's good.
This as
Okay,
well.
thank you. And then as far as the trailer, I'm okay with leaving the trailer too, because it doesn't make sense. They need a sales office, but can we put a condition around it? We need MWRD approval, and then something else to wrap around it, number of months or something. Can we do that? And if it's not done, they've got to do it?
I would say this, we're here tonight for preliminary plan unit development approval.
Okay.
They have to come back for final approval. I would say, we have to gather information anyway from MWRD. Sounds like Ross has to do that through engineering. Leave the condition as is, and then when they come back for final approval, we can deal with the condition then in the final ordinance. This way, we've got more information. We aren't legislating and creating a complicated condition here by the seat of our pants. We've got some time to think about it and make the right decision relative to the basin and the trailer.
So basically, we have to go through this whole process kind of one more time anyhow.
Very, very brief. It's not before the Plan Commission or a public hearing. It's coming back here with a final ordinance. It seems to me to be the best way to proceed to protect the village so that we can gather the information we need to create a condition that meets everybody's needs.
Thank you, Mr. Frola. Mr. Shapiro, you seem eager.
I am.
Please.
No. I'm not eager to say anything other than I agree with your wise counsel. I'm eager, hopefully, for a positive vote.
We'll get there. Promise.
Understood.
Are we done over here?
I'm done. Thank you.
I had a little tally, but I kind of lost it.
Thanks.
Got all messy. I actually have some questions about the parking, and I will be, I'm not an engineer and I'm not an architect. Why can't you just move the door of the garage 2 feet in?
I mean, we'd essentially have to shrink the buildings.
Yeah, 2 feet.
The garages are 20 feet deep.
Yep, and 22.
Correct. So we just anticipated that if someone did have a larger car, they'd be able to park it in the garage.
But if the Tahoe is 17 feet long, wouldn't they learn how to get it in there and close the door?
Yeah, no, I'm saying they could park it in the garage.
Yeah.
I don't foresee people with large families and large trucks buying here.
Well, that's kind of what
demographic that's just not who we cater to. And I think I have one of the biggest trucks in Prairie Park, and as I said, it's 17 feet from bumper to bumper.
Well, that's why I was thinking, if you just push the door in 2 feet, you're still at 18 feet.
Well, the door is actually 6 inches, correct, further, so that technically they're not, it's not 18.6 per the village staff's eyes. It's 18 because it's at the side of your garage. So your garage door is actually 6 inches in, with that 6 inches, technically it's 18.6, I think, or 18.4, 18.5, 18.6.
Well, regardless of the math, I mean, there's still this space within the garage, especially if you use the diagrams on the A12, 13, 14, and 15, and you see like the cars that you've installed as examples, there is room for shaving a few feet on the exterior pad side.
I mean, we felt that this layout we didn't feel that this departure was that extreme.
Significant, yeah.
And we felt these were the best layouts for that site. That's why we went with the 2-story compared to the 3-story where we could have put more density in. We just felt that this caters to the.
I think they're beautiful buildings, and I can't really wait to see them done. But and it doesn't seem like it should be that difficult of a decision, but it does seem like you have the space to make it with that small change. I mean, and it is just one issue, and I get to be the ringmaster, but I am just a one vote, so.
We wouldn't want the garages to be less than 20. Like Arlington Heights requires a 21-foot 4-inch depth in their garages. So 20 is, and some of the units are 22 deep.
Yes.
And some of the parking spaces are 21 foot deep outside.
Yes.
So I think it would really impose a lot of other issues within the interior of the unit if we pushed it back.
The foot or two.
Right.
I was just kind of, because it just seemed like the space was there. Relative to the trailer, it does stick out in my mind how long it's been there and how long it's been for that to take place. I have no concerns that have not already been raised. I think the buildings will be beautiful, and I think they will, contrary to some comments, I think they'll work nicely to give a center to the development. I do look forward to the development being completed. And I consider this a part of the entire development. I know this will be its own development, but getting the parcel finished will be nice. I do, however, see personally this as not the final step in the approval and the list of conditions and the list of reliefs. I see them as legitimately being allowed to stay until we have all of the information, as the attorney pointed out, and then we can address the final PUD.
Correct.
That's what it is. Okay. That's just my opinion on the matter. So in the interest of continuing this, would we have a motion or?
Motion, it's simply a motion to approve.
Well.
We're not changing anything.
Well, we might do this a few times. Would I have a motion to approve as written? Would anybody make that motion? And I would need a second also.
I will make.
Trustee Kruger.
I just want to ask a real quick question. What's the anticipated time before we will see it again for final? How long do we think that might take? I mean, you guys want to be shovels in the ground already this year, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get a timeline of.
I'm hoping we're back here within a month.
So you've been in contact with MWRD, if I may cut in on you? Yes. And core samples?
We just had boring.
Two people pointing at each other.
Sorry, we just had borings done on Friday. We've not received the results. I did go speak to the gentleman doing it as they were doing it. They're experts at it, and for spread footings like this, they were confident we were good.
Okay.
Well, that final expectation timeline is a good piece of information for me, thanks. But if you're ready for a motion?
I just want to see if we're comfortable with making this. Okay. I'd like a.
You asked for the motion and I made it.
I did.
Okay.
And I'd like to second it as written with the conditions as
She
is.
was faster than you, Trustee Refato.
Fair enough, I only had a question.
So a motion to approve as written. Clerk Brady, please take a roll call. This would be for 13F.
Okay. Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Refato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes. Do we need more discussion on 13G? I would like some explanation on 13G so everybody's clear on what this is. These are recent.
Plat approval, preliminary plat approval, but I certainly will defer.
Thank you. I like working with you, by the way.
Yes, what you have before you is a plat approval. It's a re-subdivision or a modification of the existing Prairie Park subdivision. In the original approvals or original plat, there is a non-easement area 3. That area is being modified and additional non-easement areas being created to allow for the construction of the additional townhome buildings. So what you have before you is a plat that reflects that. It now has a modified non-easement area 3, a new non-easement area 6, 7, 8, and 9, I believe. And
but on a more basic level, what does that mean?
what does all that mean? It means that all the rules and regulations and easements that are pertaining to Prairie Park stay in place, and this is just shuffling the
It
chairs
allows
on the
this
deck.
development to be integrated into
Correct.
that? Awesome. Just
Thank you for
simple.
getting me to that.
Do we have questions or comments from this side for that side? This side? That side. Then I need a motion for approval.
So moved.
Trustee Kruger, second.
Second.
Trustee Refato. Clerk Brady, roll call, please.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Refato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, good luck.
Thank you.
I hope everything goes smoothly.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you and thank you to staff for everything you've done. Thank you.
Done. Clerk Brady. Should we wait. Give them a minute so they're ruffling papers.
Yeah. I said 8:30? Flood the interview.
Does he have to go pee?
Did this,
Is he okay?
did this guy have glasses on?
He left his phone.
Sitting right there?
Let's have a
Yeah.
sit in.
Yeah.
I thought it was the other guy.
Okay, Clerk Brady, H, please.
Discussion regarding staffing levels of the village social services.
Mr. Spondilis, what do we have here?
Thank you very much. Human Services Director Huisar and Deputy Police Chief Al Steffen will be presenting a request by staff this evening to increase service levels regarding social services. Director Huisar will provide some details and performance measures to justify the request, but in short, the village currently employs 2.5 social workers. 1.5 of those positions are paid for through a grant. What we are asking this evening is to supplement the existing 20-hour part-time position with village funds to bring that position to full-time. We believe that this will, 1, address the community needs, and 2, accommodate changes to service demands. The specific question before the board this evening is, does the board agree to staff's request to add 17.5 hours of social worker time at village expense to the current 20 hours paid through grant funding? That's the question that we will ask at the end of the presentation. Should the board provide an affirmative response, we will present a resolution at the next board meeting simply to address the budget staffing sheet that is in our budget. There is no cost, as you'll hear all the details. There is no cost to this fiscal year, so there is no budget amendment necessary for the financial side, just for the staffing level side to indicate that we are going from 2.5 positions to 3. With that, Director Huisar.
Good evening. We are very excited to present this opportunity to the board this evening. As Manager Spondilis mentioned, we are looking to add 17.5 hours to our VOCA-funded part-time 20-hour position to essentially provide a full-time social worker. Historically speaking, our program had 3 social workers for many years, at times providing very different services, but ultimately by 2017, they were all providing the same services equally to residents. But in 2017, one of our social workers retired. And with that retirement and trying to be good stewards of public funds, we did not replace that position at that time. Since 2017, a great deal has gone on in the world and in our communities. As a result of these changes, our program has seen a steady increase of between 6 and 16% in the number of clients. Excuse me. The anomaly, of course, would be 2020, where we were on lockdown and unable to see as many people as the rest of the world was as well. And also the 2021 information, which you'll see on the screen, is attributed, the 2021 information is based on an estimate of 6 months going out to 12 months, so as you can see. As you can see, there's the last few years from 2017, which was the last time we had three full-time social workers, where we had total client interactions of 3,032, and the total number of clients was 771. And that has continued to increase. If 2021 looked like 2019, I believe we would be higher yet this year. Our program has been recognized as a leader in police social services. Jointly with the Wheeling Police Department, we've participated in a study of victim services and law enforcement through our funders, the Illinois Criminal Justice Information Authority, that administers the Federal Victims of Crime Act funds, which are VOCA funds. Recently, the Wheeling Police Department and our program was chosen for a national study on police-based victim services commissioned through the International Association of Chiefs of Police. DC Stefan and I have worked together to re-envision social services within the police department to meet the demands of our changing communities. So we're going to have him talk a little bit.
Thank you, President Horker and the Village Board for entertaining us. Again, for years, our social workers have met police at the intersections of crime and trauma. While investigators are occupied substantiating and documenting the legal and procedural aspects of a case, it was the social workers with whom I've worked and who were tasked with attending to the accompanying trauma. However, it's not just the victims who suffer trauma, it is also witnesses, friends, and even family members of suspects with whom we find ourselves increasingly referring to our counterparts in social services. And more recently, as the pendulum of public opinion swings in a different direction, we find ourselves expanding the roles of our social workers to help troubleshoot other issues which our citizens, friends, and neighbors are facing. These issues are not so easily resolved through a traditional response to a 911 call. Having access to folks with a toolkit to help address these issues is a key element of the restorative justice process. But moreover, it should be recognized as another component of community policing. With the board's approval, we plan on working with Ms. Huizar in embedding a police social worker into the afternoon shift, a shift which sees the majority of the need for such services. A worker with an ability to perform immediate triage for a variety of issues and the ability to hand off such cases to co-workers and make necessary referrals in a more immediate and timely manner would be of great service to the Village of Wheeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Mr. Spondilis, you want to just give us an abbreviation?
Yeah, just to kind of put a bow on it, the specific request for 17 and a half hours equates to $31,000 a year. That is bringing in a social worker at step one. That cost would increase slightly each year as the person ascends through the step plan. And we see this as the most bang for the buck. Obviously, the part-time position already exists, paid for through VOCA. It is a challenge to find a part-time social worker to come into the organization and stay with us. Social work is one of those areas of expertise where you want Specifically, you want continuity of service because social workers are working with clientele sometimes for years on end. So we see not only the value of having the extra time, but also keeping someone here. We also see this as another example of the Village of Wheeling as a whole, the Wheeling Police Department specifically, being ahead of the curve. We talk about the national conversation of social work being integrated into police work, and this is an opportunity for us to put that into action in the Village of Wheeling. So for the slight increase of 17 and a half hours to an existing grant position, we see this as certainly a benefit to the entire community of Wheeling.
Questions or comments? Everybody on this side.
Thank you.
Trustee Kruger, then Trustee Rufato.
Thank you. I have two, one for Sherry and one for Al. The first is, would it ever be possible that the village would lose the VOCA grant or not qualify for it? And if so, what would we do?
I think there's several answers to that. As far as qualifying for it, if they don't change the qualifications, we should qualify for it. Whether we would be awarded it again or not, I think that is up to the authority, correct? I think if the funding goes away, I think that is a policy issue for the board to look at. If we have positions and you see that as a core service, that is something that we would continue. If you don't, then that position would go away.
Great. And DC staff and Manager Spondilis alluded to it, but with the nature of policing and social work today in the climate that we're all living in, I'm just want to make sure that this isn't a defund the police movement type of an action, and we are not going to lose any police officers as a result of the increase in our social working staff. I think it's a great partnership. I just want to make sure that it isn't something that we might lose anything, either the funding or our police officers.
Thank you. Actually, I feel that this enhances our service and gives us another tool and another partner while we answer or go about our daily business. So it doesn't take anything away from us at all.
I think
it really does enhance us.
I think it's a great decision to make, especially now. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Rufato, and then Trustee Vito.
Thank you. I agree. I've been talking to John about this. I think an additional full-time social worker, especially in today's environment, we need that, and to take the burden off, not the burden off of the police officers, because they are the front line. They're a social worker too, but we have people that are trained to do that, which will be an addition. I feel it's a great addition. My only comment is the $31,000, is that a fully loaded? Is that salaries and benefits?
Correct. That is an all-in number.
Okay,
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Fully loaded. Trustee Vito?
Yeah, I had the same concern that Trustee Kruger did. Just when we're saying national conversation, I typically don't like the national conversation on how policing is going, because to me, it's anti-police, and I don't like that. So surprised it was coming from you, Trustee Kruger. Maybe you're getting the newsletters from the Republicans of Wheeling Township or something. But I felt that same. But to have another social worker is not a bad thing. It's something that's needed, especially now. But I just don't want it to change the nature of our policing from, policing and enforcing the law to, more social work. I think they can augment each other without canceling each other. So.
Thank you, Trustee Vito. So this is, Trustee
Just one quick comment. Normally when we get grants, they come back to bite us because they run out, and then we're stuck with a person, and fire department was that happened for years and years with the fire department. But in this case, you guys do so much work in social work that no one really sees, and you really are helping people. And it's, I guess I'm glad that more people aren't seeing it, because I know as the numbers say, you're really helping a lot of people, a lot of residents in this town. So I have no issue whatsoever. I know you guys will work out the salaries and going forward. And in this case, now more than ever, the social work really pays off, because there's such a need for it.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Lang. Trustee Papantos?
Thank you. Sherry, refresh my memory. How long have we had the grant?
Since 2003,
So
that was our first grant.
we're moving along and don't really foresee that it's going to suddenly drop off the face of the earth.
I think the question would be if it were to dry up federally. That would be the only concern, but. I haven't
This is a
heard that it
federal
is.
grant then?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we got the Democrats. We're good with it.
I was waiting for you to say that, Joe.
I don't know what's going on here.
What?
I don't know what's going on here today.
So this is not actually a vote. This is just we need a consensus from the board. And so the question is, does the board agree to staff's request to add 17 and a half hours of social worker time at village expense to the current 20 hours paid through the grant fund? So basically, so we can get somebody who's full-time by footing a portion of the bill.
Correct.
Right, okay. So, Clerk Brady, why don't you do a roll call and see what the consensus is?
Trustee Vogel?
Good.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Definitely, yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank
There you go.
See, you thought it'd be hard.
All right, official communications. Trustee Kruger.
Thank you. I have an update on a repeat of the free Wheeling Police Drive-Through Pet Vaccination event. Again, it is still on Saturday, July 10th, 2021, from 11 until 3 p.m. It will be at the Wheeling Police Department at 1 Community Boulevard. It is now being sponsored by the Wheeling Police Department, Heartland Animal Shelter, Chicago Wolves, and Total Body Fuel. It's free vaccinations and microchips. It's a drive-through event. Be prepared for long wait times. Bring water and snacks. Be a good pet owner and pick up after your pet. Bring waste bags. All dogs must be on a leash, in a carrier or vehicle. All cats must be in a carrier and or in a vehicle. Ticket distribution will start at 10:30 a.m. 500 animals will be served or until supplies run out. And also, please follow state Illinois protocols regarding the use of masks and social distancing. If your health is compromised, please let a friend or family member bring your pet. That's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kruger. Trustee Vito, you had something?
Just
And
a
then Trustee
story
Papantos.
for Deputy Chief Stefan here. So we met up with a bunch of friends that I went to River Trails Junior High School with. And one of them, kind of when we went into high school, went down the wrong path and became a gangbanger and a bad dude. And I guess he had a lot of run-ins with Deputy Chief Stefan over the years. And Deputy Chief Stefan kept trying to set him straight. And he said that he did, and that one day recently, I don't know how recently, he saw Deputy Chief Stefan and apologized to him and thanked him for always trying to set him straight. And now he's a nice family guy, lives here in town in Wheeling. It was nice to meet up with him. It was just so heartwarming to hear a story like that where someone's life gets turned around by good cops, because we hear a lot of bad cop stories, so good cop stories are good stories. And now back to the bad. I've been known to have my few shares of beers, Mary, but I've never been so drunk that I've fallen in a drainage ditch. But
You don't go to the right parties.
I suppose.
The creek a few years ago.
See? Pat knows this can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Who fell in the drainage ditch?
Some guy.
We fish people out of the strangest places, trust me.
All
All right, so my point is proven.
fine.
Had a truck perpendicular in the creek one day.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Just like across, and
And he walked to where?
he remembers stopping at the gas station, think about this, at the corner of Dundee and Milwaukee Road. There is no gas station. We think there may have been alcohol involved. Trustee Papantos, you had something?
Thank you. I want to thank staff for removing the barriers. It's really nice to be able to see and not reflect back, and it's very nice to see everybody back. Hopefully we'll see everybody, soon once again, so thank you.
How does Dave feel about that?
No, I can kick her when she talks too much.
And I go home with bruises.
If we have nothing else, thank everyone for being here. We do have one more item of business to take care of. You have before you the bills from June 3rd till June 16th, 2020. I need a motion.
2021?
Yeah, they give or take a year.
So moved.
Trustee
Second.
Vogel, second. Trustee Papanto? Kruger. Trustee Kruger's on second.
Okay.
You can't use the barriers as an excuse now.
I was looking down, and at least you guys aren't both on the same side. Roll call, please, save me.
Trustee Vogel?
Yes.
Trustee Lang?
Yes.
Trustee Vito?
Yes.
Trustee Rufato?
Yes.
Trustee Papantos?
Yes.
Trustee Kruger?
Yes.
President Horker?
Yes, there is no executive session. I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Papantos, second. Trustee Kruger, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank y'all.
I got a question.